Hi, this is Tiffanie Travels. We help women and families build wealth, travel, and live richer. So, on my channel, you'll find interviews with expats, and you'll also find travel vlogs as well as videos for financial independence. So, today we are talking with a special guest. She lives in Japan and she is from Jamaica. I'm going to bring her on in a second. But if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss a video. So I'm going to bring her on here. Hi.
Hi everyone.
So why
So
don't we
lovely to
start?
be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. Thank you for being on the channel. We could start by you introducing yourself and letting us know what kind of content we can find on your channel.
Okay. Hello. Well, as I would say on my channel, greetings, gorgeous. My name is Sango, if this is your first time here. And I am currently living in Japan. I am Japanese Jamaican, and I've been in Japan for more than 15 years now. I work in ad tech, and I also have been doing yoga instructor recently. And in my free time, I do content creation mainly on YouTube, where I document my daily life.
Cool. So I saw you on YouTube and I thought it was so interesting that you're from Jamaica and you're living in Japan. And then I listened to your videos and you have an accent, like you have a accent. I was like, oh, that is so cool. So what made your family want to like move from Jamaica?
So they haven't really been open about this topic, to be honest. I think it's a common thing in Asian households and also Caribbean households for parents to not, share those things. But to my understanding, it was more of a financial decision on both my parents' side. They wanted to move back to Japan to make money, and also my mom's parents were also starting, getting older as well, and she wanted to spend more time with them. So those are the two main reasons I'm aware of. But I'm
Okay.
pretty sure there's a layer of multiple things.
Yeah, it's complex. Okay. So is it common to see Japanese expats in Jamaica? Because I know the Irish, it's common to see people from Ireland, it's common to see Indian descent, even Chinese, but I
Mhm.
hadn't heard of like Japanese expats or immigrants in Jamaica.
Right. I think because there's a huge community of Japanese people who loves reggae music, the Japanese community in Jamaica is quite big as well, I think. I don't have the exact numbers, but I do remember like growing up with a lot more Japanese Jamaican kids like myself. So there is the community there. I think most of them are based in Kingston, Jamaica. I remember, what was it, last year when we went to Jamaica, they had a welcome party for us, because some stayed back and some moved back to Japan. But there's always, people there who we're familiar with. So it's really nice.
That is cool. This is really interesting. So
Mm.
you say that there's Japanese who are fond of the reggae. So are there like
Mhm.
pockets of Jamaicans in Japan?
Oh, absolutely. I think, yes, there are musicians here as well, but I think the majority of Jamaicans in Japan, they come through this program. I'm not sure of the name of the program, but it's an English teacher program where people sign up for, and they come to Japan to teach English in schools. Yeah. So there are a lot of Jamaicans in Japan as well. Yes.
So interesting. I never knew that. Okay.
Hmm.
Did you speak Japanese before you moved to Japan?
Yes, I did. My mom, she only speaks Japanese. She does understand English, more patois, but she does understand it, but she's never really an active speaker. So I remember when we were living in Jamaica, and this is like early 2000s, I was the one in between translating to her back and forth in Japanese and in English. So yes, I spoke Japanese from a very young age. I think English was the language I learned afterwards. But I think my parents did an amazing job exposing me to both languages in a very balanced manner. So I think I was able to speak Japanese with my mom, but in Jamaica, that was the only place that I could speak the language. And the other inputs would be from these little VHC tapes that my grandmother would send to Jamaica with like Sailor Moon or like animes that are trending at the time. So I was able to, understand and speak as well. However, my reading and writing were not as efficient as my speaking. So that's where I struggled the most moving back to Japan. Mm.
Okay. So I watched one of your videos and you were talking about Aki River. And
Mm.
like Aki is a fruit in Jamaica as well. So then I was wondering, are there like similarities between the fruits, or was that like because it was in a part that was a pocket of Jamaica?
I cannot pinpoint what exactly I was talking about in the vlog. But yeah, there are a lot of Jamaicans in Japan. And occasionally, maybe like when the time is warmer, we'll like gather around and go to the riverside and do little barbecues and yeah, fun times like that. Also, we have good connections with the Jamaican embassy based in Tokyo. So I feel like the support system here is well put together. But that also varies on depending on who the ambassador is. So shout out to the ambassador at the moment.
Okay, and what similarities would you say exist between the two cultures in Jamaica and
Wow. I always mention this, but I think the biggest similarity is the respect we have towards people. I think in Jamaica, it's like there's this unspoken, it's natural to be respectful to each other. And I think there's always a genuine undertone of respect. And I feel like that is also similar in Japan. We try not to disturb each other's peace. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest similarities between Jamaica and Japan. Mm.
okay, interesting. And was it culture shock because you were recently back in Jamaica?
Hmm.
Did you
Hmm.
have culture shock going back after speaking?
Oh, definitely. It's interesting because the Jamaica I know is from the perspective of a child,
Mhm.
and everything seems very big and what's it called, limitless. But I remember going back, it felt a lot more calm in a way. I felt that it would be more vibrant, the nightlife, and people playing loud music and so on and so forth. So I think there was this expectation gap rather than a culture shock, and didn't do too much of a bizarre thing over there. So the main thing was, I think, people driving very fast was the biggest culture shock, in my opinion. Because in Japan, the traffic rules are very strict, and every road you go to, they have the speed limits on them, and people abide by them. I
Mhm.
think it's one thing for the rules to be strict and people not abiding by them, but people actually abide by them. So not a lot of speeding happened. So I remember when we went and we were driving from, I think, Kingston to St. Thomas, there's a new highway, and people were just blasting like 100 and God knows, like close to 200 kilometers per hour. And yeah, and everyone's going at that speed. So that was the main thing. Everything else, like people wise, wasn't a surprise to me, because I felt like I intentionally try my best to keep connected to the culture while I'm here as well. I don't want to put my parents' effort to waste. So I think, yeah, not too much of a I don't know, entertaining culture shock in my opinion.
Okay, so we have some people who joined. Feel free to say hi. We are here with Simply Sango, and she is Japanese and Jamaican, grew up in Jamaica, and now living in Japan. All right, so yeah, every time I go to Jamaica, I'm always frightened by how they drive. So I totally understand what you're saying. It's not even like fast, but it's just like dangerous. Like if you're going
Yeah.
a mountain or a cliff or something like that, I
Mhm.
always feel like I'm gonna die. So
Yeah, it's really. I'm one of those people who, when you're on the passenger side, I'm like kicking on the invisible brakes. So that happens a lot. I had to force myself to sleep, or else I think I'll have a heart attack.
so you went to school in Jamaica and like up until the beginning of high school, and then you went to Japan.
Hmm.
So what
Hmm.
were some of the differences or similarities between the two educational systems?
Oh, ooh, I feel okay. The main difference is interesting because when you're in one place and you don't expect to be moved, you're not that conscious of what's going on around you. So I do not remember much about the Jamaican educational system. I just knew it was very strict,
Mhm.
and but that's not to say that Japan's education system is not strict, but it's more. I feel like the main difference is that the teachers in Jamaica holds more responsible, like holds their students' education more responsible as their own.
Mhm.
Whereas to Japan, at least the schools that I went to, it's more like if you can't keep up, that's your problem. You
Okay.
know, you got to do the work on your own. And I don't know which one I prefer. It's that's one of the main differences for the education system. Everybody goes to school. The It's what's called mandatory school until high school. No, high school is not mandatory actually. So up until junior high school, it's mandatory, but high school you can go or you don't have to go. Yeah, and it
Okay.
depends on whether you actually want to go and also can go because they have exams to determine whether you're qualified to go to those schools, and those are quite hard as well. Another thing is because, as I mentioned earlier, the teachers in Jamaica, they have more sense of responsibility towards or they express more sense of responsibility towards their students. But in Japan, because it's almost like a lot of things in Japan are like this, but it's almost like a template, and there's a strict time schedule that the teachers needs to go by. So there isn't enough room to do freestyling. So for example, if you're sitting in a classroom
Uh-huh.
and you have a question, sometimes those questions will be brushed by because the teacher has a lot more things to cover in class that's already scheduled. So I think that's one of the main differences that I've noticed. It's a long time ago, so that's what I remember. Yeah.
So both cultures is the classroom quiet? It's like a quiet classroom. The teacher can teach.
Yeah, it's very much one way. Like the teacher's just lecturing, and if the students have questions, they can ask like at the end of the class to not disrupt everybody else's, learning pace. Mm.
Got it. All right. So how would you describe the culture in Japan?
Hmm. Let me see. I'm trying to find the word without being, disrespectful. But I feel like in nature, we're laid back, I think, and also not as extroverted. So one thing I point at people's attention to when they come to Japan is the amount of signs, like whether it's like walking on the street with your smartphone in your hand, they have a sign that says "Do not walk with your smartphone in your hand."
Wait,
Um,
wait. Is
and
that
like,
like what's
yeah, it's not a law. It's more like, if you're walking with your phone in your hand and you're staring into your phone, you won't be able to see the surrounding. People do not like confronting each other. So when it comes to those so what could happen if you're walking with your phone in your hand is you could bump into someone and get into an altercation. Because one of the main thing I notice is that people do not like confrontations here. So a lot of the signs you see are just signs to like avoid like confrontations at all costs. So for example, if you go to a store, and this is a very hot topic right now, is because of over tourism, a lot of stores are putting out in their storefront saying that if you can't speak Japanese, please do not enter the store, right? But that's because they're laid back and they're really chill and comfortable in their space. They do not want to go through the hassle of having to cater to someone who they can't speak the language of. They won't be able to um, live up to their customer service standards with the level of language they have. So I think very introverted society does not like confrontation as much. At least for Tokyo, is that's how I feel.
so that's like the opposite of Jamaica
Yeah, yeah, definitely, exactly.
in that regard, because Jamaica is very like outspoken.
Oh yeah, I would get in so much trouble in back in high school in Jamaica. I'd be in detention for like trying to cuss out people. The thing's not in focus. But yeah, I would get in so much trouble getting into altercation. But then you come to Japan and that's all numbed down, and that also affects I think your self confidence, I guess, because whatever you think is right is also being like super patted down into this like flat surface. And I feel like that happens a lot to kids who move to Japan from a different country at a very young age. It's almost like, okay, are we silenced or are we being silenced? Yeah, there's that as well.
Okay, interesting. I've seen like videos and people are in like a coffee shop or a restaurant and it's super, super, super quiet. Like they
Oh
don't want
yeah.
anybody playing music
Yeah.
or like loud talking on the phone or even in conversation with a person that you came with. It's like a whisper almost.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. That's the same on trains, especially on the trains. There's signs like no loud talking. But yeah, it's just that people enjoy. I think people are just very sensitive to loud sounds. I don't know what it is, but people are very sensitive towards loud sounds, and even like people get into altercation with their neighbors, but not directly with their neighbors, with the police who were called by the neighbors because of sound problems. So yeah, very sensitive towards sounds, I think here. So it's very hard finding like good places that has like nice music sometimes, because yeah, the music isn't as loud, or they're not playing it. If they're playing it, they're playing it very subtly. But for example, if it's like a restaurant, it's like nighttime and people are drinking, it does get loud. It's not like it's completely silent all the time. It's just a time and place. And for example, if it's a cafe, some people come to the cafe to work, and you don't want to, disturb that. I think that's the neutral thing. But sometimes it gets very bad when people find it their mission to like police those things. That's when it gets a bit terrifying, because sometimes Japanese people will target foreigners or visitors when things when if they're talking loud, or even if they're not talking loud. Foreigners are often targeted and complained by the Japanese people. Yeah.
Okay, so what about driving around? Do they honk at each other or is that
Oh
like
no. Actually, I went to driving school here as well. Here's where I got my license. And one of the main things they say is like, do not honk unless it's an absolute emergency. So no one honks unless there's someone right in front of their car about to get hit. So
Okay.
I'll open the window right now. You won't hear a honk at all.
And you're in the city.
Yeah, we're in the city. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is different. Very peaceful.
Mm.
Peaceful.
Oh, and a funny thing is like even on the construction sites, and they have these fences that blocks off these construction sites. On the fence, they'll have a little meter that calculates the decibel of sounds the construction is making
Okay.
to yeah. So
And
if someone complains that it's loud, they'll be like, actually, no, this is, below the average amount of construction sounds. So yeah.
okay, so you have to keep even that down. Even the
Yeah. Yeah. They have very good soundproof plastic sheets that they put over the buildings. And even long before they start the constructions, they will give out notifications. I mean, notice around the town that the building is going to be built in, saying that, oh, by the way, between this time and this time, there's going to be a construction. Yeah.
okay. Interesting. So what do they do for like parades or like street parties or block parties?
That as well, as long as they give a notice to the town that they're in long before, they do the parades, because they're giving people a heads up that they're doing a parade. And I do hear people still complain about that. One sad thing I've heard recently is that say there'll be new people moving into the city and they move next to a school and say that school has sports day, which is normal. People who just moved by the school will be like, can you guys keep it down? Like what? You're next to us, you moved here first, like you moved here after the school was here first, and it's a sports day. Didn't you have sports day when you were young? It's that. So a lot of people are very sensitive towards sounds. And yeah, definitely, if you're on the train and if you're talking loud for a certain amount of time, you will get like dirty side eyes, but no one would actually come and confront you unless it's like a rare case scenario where an old Japanese guy would be like, shh.
Okay.
Mm.
And then I've seen videos where it's like really young kids, like preschool age, walking to
Mm.
school by themselves. Is
Hmm.
that like a common thing? Like independent,
Yeah.
yeah, independence at a young age.
Yeah, very, very. You have kids, taking the trains to go to school as well. Even I myself, like, I mean, the school wasn't that far. It's like 10 minutes away, but you walk to school for yourself and you come back by yourself. And it's very natural here. Although some parents still like, take their kids to school and back, and there are mini school buses that will take the kids to school if it's too far. But I think from a very young age, yeah, kids are able to go to school, go to and from school. And also, like, for example, if it's after school and you want to hang out with your friends, um, kids will stay. Every town has this announcement. It's on a speaker, and I think like if you've been here and you pay attention, you'll hear it in every town around like wintertime it's 4:30 p.m. Summertime it's like 5:30 p.m.
Mhm.
When the sun starts going down, the city hall will play this announcement with like some background music saying, "Oh, good kids, let's go home. It's getting dark. Like don't stay out too late." And so, you know, there are what's the word? There are practices in place to like keep the kids safe, but majority of time the kids are wandering off by themselves. Mm.
Yeah, is your school day? Was it longer in Japan than in Jamaica? And then also, is it a longer school year? 'Cause I think I saw somewhere where they go to school more days a week. I'm not sure if like you go to school on Saturdays, and then
Mm.
for this year.
Oh, I see. I'm not sure about the time. I do remember school in Japan started like at 8, and then we'll go home around 4. Like school would be out of session around 4. And then after that, you go to like clam school if you know if that's what your parents signed you up for. But no schools on Saturday unless you're in like a club. Like for example, if you're doing music, there's the brass band club. If you're doing basketball, there's like a basketball club. So if you're part of those those like clubs, you'll be going to school on Saturdays as well. Sorry.
All
Mm.
right. And so, which country feels more like home?
Hmm. I feel like this changes at every stage of my life. There were right now. I think Japan feels like home because naturally I've been here for the majority of my life, and I've set up my own community here. I have my friends, my family is here, but also like that doesn't say that Jamaica doesn't feel like home. One of the things that made me cry going back to Jamaica last year is how much things still feel familiar. And yeah, there's always a little piece of that inside me. And yeah, Jamaica will forever be home as well. So, but right now at this stage of my life, I think like it's more logical to say that Japan feels like home.
Okay. So, for those of you watching, say hi, join the chat, comment with any questions you might have.
Hmm.
This is simply Sango 35, and she's from Jamaica. She's Jamaican and Japanese, and now lives in Japan.
Mhm.
So, tell us about the cost of living
Mhm.
in Japan.
It's getting worse actually. Very I don't how do I even explain this? It really depends on how. Yeah, it's bad. It's getting bad. There were, for example, if you have 1,000 yen and you go to the store, you'll be able to get at least 10 items. And I remember the other day we went to the convenience store one more time and we only, got like 4 little things, a little drink, a snack, and something else. And it was, like maybe 3, 4 items. And that 1,000 yen was already like gone. But I think in general, though, like for example, if you choose wisely where you shop, whether you're going out for lunch and stuff, you can find places that are not as bizarrely expensive. I feel like it started getting bad last year, but also for example, food is my main thing. So restaurants would still try to keep their prices at their original prices as much as possible. The main thing I think people are concerned about is like the price of rice going up, which kind of hurts the society because everyone loves rice here, and it is a main thing, main part of our day. So that's where you see it affecting the most, I think.
What about like rent prices? How much is like a one bedroom apartment?
Mm.
Apartment?
So I say in Tokyo, a one-bedroom apartment will um, range between I think like 70,000 yen, which is now like what, $600.
Yeah, it's I'm
Could be less. It could be even less with the USD. But yeah, it could range from like anywhere between 70,000 yen to 15,000, 150,000
all right.
yen.
So
Mm,
70,000 yen is $472,
oh
and
wow.
150,000 yen is $1,000. So that's in the city center.
Yes.
So yeah, that's very
Well,
affordable.
that's on the lower end.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
Yeah. Right. The place where we are is like around like 220,000. a month, I believe. But this is like a 2-bedroom
Too bad.
space. Mm.
220,000 is 1,400 USD per month.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Taylor, so that is cheap. For
Mhm.
USD, yeah.
For USD, absolutely. Times are rough over here.
Yeah, because in like a New York or a Miami or a LA for a 2 bedroom apartment, these things could be like $5,000. It's
Yeah. Hmm. But also, like, I feel like the size also comes with it. You would have, I don't even know what the size reference would be like, but
oh,
they're not quite spacious.
oh,
A 1 bedroom. Sorry, my thing is blurry, so I'm gonna put my finger here for a second so it but yeah, the bedroom spaces are quite smaller, I think, compared to the general size in the US. I would often hear like people like vloggers in New York City talking about like shoe closet size spaces, but like that's nothing compared to Japanese like apartments. So
okay, I get it.
mm,
So it's
yeah,
smaller in general, like they're just in
yeah.
general smaller, but
Hmm.
also more affordable.
Hmm.
Okay. And then, so I've heard a lot about the work culture in Japan. Like people
Hmm.
are literally working themselves to death. Like they're dying
Oh.
of exhaustion on the
Karoshi. Yeah, it's called Karoshi. Thankfully, I haven't come across a company like that. I think I've been on the healthier side when it comes to work, but that's probably mainly because I haven't experienced working in a Japanese company, like a domestic company. All of the companies I've worked in so far, my first company was a Turkish company. The second one was a Chinese company, and the one I'm at right now is a Polish company. So I won't be able to speak on that. But I think so far, I think Japan, at least the government, is trying their best to implement rules and laws to prevent people from overworking, whether it's mandatory paid leave. You have to take at least 5, or else I don't know what they're going to do, but but then that's just 5 days. And also when it comes to like working overtime, if the company is more than 10 people, you have to pay that overtime. You have to pay the employees for working overtime and stuff. So that I do know that there are those type of implementation, like things in place to prevent people from overworking. But hopefully, the culture is a lot more better compared to the past. Yeah, there's a lot of I never really hear good things about it, and I think I've been blessed so far as to not come across those type of companies.
Okay. All right. So tell us about the healthcare system in
Mhm.
Japan. Is it like public healthcare? Anybody can go, or do they have public and private? Or do you have to have
Um,
your job?
Right. So they have public and private. Mainly, you have your health insurance through the company that you're at.
Okay.
But if you're not working, you can get private healthcare as well. And those like healthcare is they cover like 70% of the medical fees, so you're paying close to nothing, like maybe like 3,000 yen, which is like $10, I think, like $10 if you go to the doctor for I don't know when's the recent time I had an issue. Like maybe if I'll say like the dentist, you go to the dentist and you get a dentist checkup. I remember my bill coming up to like maybe like $5. And yeah. And then every single year you're obligated to get your health check, like maybe like twice a year. And the companies are very determined to make sure that you take your health check very seriously. Mm.
Oh, okay, so that's like part of company requirements that you go and see a doctor, and then you have to submit the results to the company.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
No, not really. That's confidential. So
Okay.
you get the results and you do whatever you need to do with the results. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they're like trying to make sure you're.
No, 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 no. I think no. I don't think they share that information with the company. But for example, if something does happen, that is also a form of proof saying that, hey, like this came up in my health check. I need to go to the doctors on this month, and I need to take a break. Like, that's how you would use the health check stuff. Mm.
Okay. So, how do you feel walking around at night in
Mm.
Tokyo? You'll say,
Normal. It would be the same as walking in daytime.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Mhm.
very safe.
Very safe, yeah. Yeah, very safe. I'm trying to think like, okay, dark alleyways, but like, not nothing. The most you'll be worried about is like rats and yeah, rats jumping at you or crows. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
very safe. You can pretty much walk around the city by yourself at nighttime. I don't know about Shibuya though. Shibuya is usually is a sketchy part of town. That's where the nightlife is buzzing, where a lot of people go to get drunk. So you may or may not get into altercations.
Okay.
But if you avoid those places, the worst that could happen is someone puking on your shoes.
Okay. So I saw on your channel you're engaged.
Oh, we're married now. Actually, this week we got
Yeah.
married.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
so I saw that your husband is from London, but does he have Ghanaian
Yeah, yes.
heritage?
So he's London based. He has a Ghanaian and Nigerian background,
Okay.
and he's been living in Japan for 3 years when we met. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask how you guys
Oh,
met. That
thank
was like
you.
so many
Oh,
cultures.
that's a lot. Yeah, it's very hard to like, yeah. But it's really, yeah, it's nice though.
Yeah.
Mm.
So congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Taylor. I think that's the name.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was really cute online. I saw you guys' video.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So he's in Japan. Do you guys think that Japan will be your permanent residence?
At the moment, no. We're
Right.
thinking of moving elsewhere eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to know, is it common? Because some cultures they have like a live-in help or someone that comes to help every so often. So
Mm.
is that common in Japanese culture where you have like domestic, and is it affordable? Because the more
Mm.
affordable it is, then the more common it is. So it's not as
Right.
in the US.
Mm.
I was talking to somebody from Jamaica at Monique
Mm.
from Kingston, and she was saying they have day workers that are available to come in and even just iron or help fold laundry, and you can pay them by the day. Or like
Mm.
some of the Latin countries, they'll have a live-in nanny that can help with the
Mm.
kids. So what's it
Mm.
like in Japan?
I feel like it's a very much old school in a sense. A lot of households, the wives would take care of all of that. So it's very common for women to retire work after getting pregnant, and they do the whole thing, and it's bizarre. I can't imagine that for myself. But yeah, so it's not, unless it's a different class group, because the service is there. I've seen a couple of people actually use the service, and but I myself, I'm not I haven't looked into the price range of it nor considered, so I won't be able to answer that part. But the service is there, but it's more common for, at least for women, Japanese women, to take care of their own household, whether it's chores or, and which also is in a way toxic because it's really hard for people find it really hard to ask for help when it comes to these kind of things. People don't find it comfortable when, a stranger comes in their home to clean, and the trust level is not as high as well. Mm.
Okay, that makes sense. So then a follow-up question is, if they stop working, which is
Mm.
fine,
Mm-hmm.
is there any kind of like government subsidy or maternity leave or paid maternity leave or anything like that for women?
Yes, I think from the company side as well, you have maternity leave. That if whether that's paid or not depends on the company, I think. But also like government support is there depending on the ward you're living in. You'll get like maybe up to like 300,000 Japanese yen after giving birth. And then there are some wards that give out like monthly fees. For example, that's maybe like 100,000 yen a month for parental support. Mm.
Okay, and like, is there a limit on that? Like 2 years, or for how long do they give that?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I think it's up until I. So my recent knowledge is from my youngest sister. She's in university already, and it's been a while since she was in elementary school. But I do remember, like, you get the support up until you're in elementary school. Mm.
Okay,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, and like because of the decreased birth rate as well, you get a lump sum for giving birth. The people, the government, it feels like the government is paying people to give birth at this point. But
hey, if it works,
I mean,
that's
yeah.
like, societies or countries or populations that have that support from the government, that have
Mm,
maternity leave or that have subsidized daycare, that have those things in place, then it
mhm.
does make it easier for women
Right.
to be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
and afford
Right.
children.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Mm. Yeah,
hey,
it's a good system.
so what do you miss about Jamaica?
Ooh, I think it is just the nature. Just having easy access to nature would be the main thing. I mean, here, if you get a car for the day and you rent it for, it comes at a cost. Seeing nature comes at a cost. So, but in Jamaica, here you would have to rent a car, get day off, and then I don't know, schedule a day out into the countryside or something like that. But the thing I miss about Jamaica is that those things are there naturally and it doesn't come at a cost. So I think that's what I miss the most. But also like having, family around and having that comfort of support, I think I do miss a lot in from Jamaica, yeah.
Okay, and then what is a must-try dish in Jamaica?
In Jamaica, I'm a big fan of brown stew chicken and also stew peas. I feel like stew peas isn't talked about a lot. But basically, stew peas is this stew with red beans, and it's got the dumpling, and you can use chicken or pork, and I love it so much. That's my favorite Jamaican dish. So if you do have the opportunity to, if someone offers you to have stew peas, definitely try.
Yeah, my mom just made it the other day. And she actually, yeah, with the red beans, the dumplings, and she uses pigtails in it.
Mm. Yeah, I need to make some eventually. I love it so much. Mm.
Okay, so what about Japan? What's a must-try
Uh,
dish there?
okay, so this might be what's the word? This might be very up to debate, but I think Italian pizza in Japan are really good. So that's what I would say. Yeah, Italian pizza. I know we're in Japan and you want to try Japanese dishes, but at least carve out one meal out of your trip to try some pizza.
That is, I was not thinking
I wasn't expecting that one.
Italian food. Okay. Is there
Yeah.
like a big population of Italians in Japan?
I think it's just a big population of chefs in Japan going to Italy to get trained, and they come back with their certification and they do their restaurant, and it's pretty. I've never been to Italy, so I can't say, but everyone who I've seen that's been to Italy and had pizza is like, yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm like, okay, I trust you guys, and it's really good. Like I would say it's a different genre because we're being respectful to the Italian pizza. Of course, there won't be much of a comparison, but yeah, definitely try the Italian pizzas here.
So this is my mom. She joined, and then she goes, "Are you talking about
Hi,
me?"
mom.
I was just talking about she made some stew peas.
Stew peas.
So she's going to Japan in October,
Oh,
and if she wanted
okay.
to know where is best to stay, I can't pronounce either of these cities.
Shinjuku or Shibuya. Um, It depends on the activities that you want to do. Those two cities are quite active. They're like late nights, you'll hear people walking around and stuff. So if you want to do, nightlife activities, I highly recommend. Me personally, those towns are not my personal favorite, so I would stay away. I do recommend like the Tsukiji area. It's very close to the center of the city, and but also has good train access. But it's also very calm and it's by the river. Okay, no night
Like,
like. Okay,
like,
okay, 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 okay. I
okay,
feel like Shibuya and Shinjuku would be a day trip and back. Like you don't want to stay there. Yeah,
okay. So
somewhere
how
quiet. Yeah.
she wants somebody quiet? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So where is quiet in?
Um, I'd say the Tsukiji area, Tsukiji area is very quiet. Or um, there's a Sumida River. There's a river called Sumida, Sumida, and around that area is quite slow pace. And yeah, if you find any hotel in that area, I definitely recommend staying. Mhm.
Okay, so we have a question. How is the sushi?
Oh, the sushi is amazing. And freshly caught fish. It's like at the fish market as well, but not even just at the fish market, but like anywhere. Most of the restaurants here, you have to, you go to a restaurant and you have good quality seafood. But yeah, I think a lot of people, especially from the States, would be shocked at the whole concept of sushi being quite different. Maybe some people will find that it lacks taste, but also like, yeah, in Japan, you don't really season the fish and stuff. So I think it depends on your liking.
Okay.
Mhm. It's not, don't expect California rolls.
But hibachi is a thing there, or is that like an Americanized thing?
Hibachi. Hibachi, I think, is like what is it? Like a roasted thing where you put the fire on it, or
Yeah,
hibachi?
yeah.
It's not.
It's
I've
not.
never had it. No, I've never had it personally, but maybe it is a thing. Hmm. Yakitori is a thing. So no, yeah, hibachi. I don't. I'm googling hibachi in Japanese, and all I'm seeing is like these caterpillars. So maybe not as common.
Okay. All right. So that's an Americanized thing then.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
how is living in Japan different from living in Jamaica? You already said the nature and the driving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Um, I think the main thing is the convenience. In Japan, I feel like we're very spoiled. Like every 5 minutes or less you walk, there's a convenience store. So, for example, if you want a late night snack, and it's safe, so if you want a late night snack, you can always step outside and get to a convenience store and buy whatever you need and come back. Whereas to Jamaica, at least where I live, shops close at shop close at 8 or well, it goes longer, but I was a kid, so I wasn't really allowed to go outside at that time. So you would have to like drive up the road to get flour, and it wouldn't be like snacks. You'd have to go to the grocery store, which is like a 20 minutes 30 minutes drive away. But I lived in the countryside and I'm living in the city, so maybe that's the difference. But also, hospitals, I think the main difference I feel with hospitals, the only experience I had at a hospital in Jamaica was I got hit by a car. I went to the hospital, but ended up waiting for like 6 hours with the pain in my leg, and don't know if it's broken or not. That's one traumatic, incident. Also, like I remember being there and someone with a broom in their stomach was being carried into the ER in Jamaica. So that was one, but that's, based on only one experience. Whereas in Japan, if you go to the hospital, you get tended to, because there's so many hospitals as well. And yeah, I feel like that in that area, it's a lot more covered compared to Jamaica. Mm.
That makes sense. My mom says she was in South Korea and they bring the raw meat to the table and you cook it, how you want it to the temperature you want it. So she was asking, is that a thing in Japan?
Yeah, it's a thing here in Japan. We call it yakiniku, but I think personal, it is a culture brought from Korea. We have the yakiniku, and we have the grill on the table, and they bring the raw meat, and you grill it, whether you want it medium cooked or, yeah, we have it as well.
Okay.
I love it.
What is one thing you wish you could change about Japan?
What is one thing I would change about Japan? Looks outside window. Let me see. What is one thing I would change about Japan? Oh, I think I would change the unhealthy online habits. A lot of people tend to do mean things on purpose anonymously. So there's a very toxic online culture here, and to think that that's how people are thinking on a daily basis, but masking it outdoor is kind of creepy. So that would be, yeah, the main thing, because you never know when someone would just lose it and snap and do something out of irrational thoughts. So yeah, maybe that would be one thing.
Okay, I can see that because you said that the culture is non-confrontational. So
Exactly, yeah.
You can't express yourself, or it's not like customary to express yourself or approach people
Mm-hmm.
or show any disdain or discontent. Then I could see the getting it out somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's all online. It's very scary on, under comment sections, especially Japanese posts. And yeah, it's frightening sometimes. So I wish, that part would be better in the future.
Okay, so my mom is doing research about Japan, and she noticed that there's a lot of vending machines. She wants to know if you can get any type of meal from the vending machine.
So the most common vending machines would be for drinks, and then occasionally you'll see like for foods and stuff, but those are only in like main touristy areas, I'd say. Yeah, not any type of meals. I think the Um, one thing about Japan, they're very serious about their food safety. So anything that, goes above or beyond the safety temperature of food, they wouldn't allow it. So it would be like a frozen meat kit that you take home and you cook yourself, or I don't know, maybe like a ramen, like an instant ramen thing that you have to take home and cook and stuff. For food, but sometimes in the common beverage vending machines, they'll have like little corn soups or something savory in there that you can also, use to fill up your stomach. But that's mainly during the winter time.
Okay. So she missed the beginning, and she wants to know what was the deciding factor for moving to Japan, and how long have you been there?
Okay, so I've been here for 15 years. The moving factor was not voluntary. I was taken here by my parents. Yeah, that's how we ended up being here. Yeah.
All right. So you wake up and it's a Tuesday morning. What does your
Mhm.
day look like?
Okay, so Tuesday mornings, we'll wake up. I would wake up around like 7:20. I would like to wake up a little bit earlier than that, but 7:20 and get ready because we usually have tennis on the weekdays, and the tennis courts we've reserved them from 8 a.m. So we get ready, wake up, get ready, change into some workout gears, and then jog to the tennis court. And then we'll play tennis for like an hour and a half and get back home by 10 a.m., get ready for work, and work. I've only recently started this job. I got this job back in December, but I started this month. So this is a new routine as well, but the tennis court has been there for a while. So I'll get back home before 10, get ready, log in, work from between 10 to 1 p.m., have lunch, and then get back to work in an hour. And then after work, I finish work around like 7. And after work, we'll either eat, cook some dinner here or go out to have some dinner. That's what my typical Tuesday has been looking like.
Is that a common work schedule, or is it because you work for, I think you said, Polish company?
So I think in general, work hours starts at 10 and then ends at 7. The job I'm at right now, the working hours is between 9 to 6. So it varies. And also it's like some companies, they have flex time, so you can log in whenever you want to, as long as you're there during core hours. So I think, yeah, it's a global company thing.
Okay, yeah,
Mm.
that's later hours, so you get to do a lot in the morning.
Mm. Mhm.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you for
Oh,
joining us. I learned a lot about culture in Japan, and congratulations again on
thank
your
you.
wedding. I don't know if my mom heard. I don't know if you were here at that point, but her husband is from London, and his ancestry is Nigerian and Ghanaian.
Quite a pot here.
Oh, my mom said, wait, she might have another question. So
Okay.
while she's typing, I was just saying thank you, and
Thank
I
you.
learned
Oh,
a lot, and we are so happy to have you on, and I'm going to be watching all your vlogs, and it's so interesting that you see, because there is, even when you go out with your friends, there was a lot of who seemed to have Caribbean ancestry too.
oh yeah. Hmm.
Oh, so it's not just you.
Yeah, they all have, not all, but like most people have their content as well. So, yeah, we have our community here. I feel like. I do hear that when you first get here, it is quite hard though,
Mhm.
to like find that community. But if you're ever moving, I'm talking to the viewers, if you ever consider moving to Japan, I'll be more than happy to, help settle in as well, and maybe connect you to some people who might help. Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
thank
we have
you.
another comment here that this was great. Thank you for the lovely interview. Remember to
Thank you.
subscribe if you're not subscribed here. So this is
Mm.
Sango 35. Okay, she has content on life in Tokyo and also her travels. You travel quite a bit.
Yes. We love traveling.
Yeah, that's how I found it. I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. So
Oh, thank you so much. It was really lovely being here. I really enjoyed the conversation, and yeah, the comments is getting very active right now.
yeah, so my mom wanted to spell the cities there. Like it was. Let me go back. It was
Mhm.
here. Is that not how you spell it?
Yes, Tsukiji. There's a Ki a Tsukiji. So Tsukiji.
Oh, there's a K I in
Mm.
there. So
Mm.
yes, that's what it was.
Mm.
And then there was the river.
Sumida River. Yeah.
This one.
That area is very nice and laid back as well. And there's a lot of flat surfaces that you can take walks. They have bicycles in place as well that you can just hop on and drop off at their designated locations. And yeah, it's very laid back, and it almost feels like it's not Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom says London is her favorite city thus far, and she was just
Oh,
there in February.
I'll, okay. I'll let my husband know. I'm still getting used to calling him my husband. So.
Yes, you guys are so cute.
Oh, thank you.
Kofi subscribed, and is this
Thank
Taylor?
you.
Taylor living? We're gonna. I'm gonna go to your channel, look it up, and see how you say that. She says thank you. Okay, my
Oh,
mom.
thank you.
Okay, I think we're good. So thank you. I don't have any more questions. Yes, thank you. You're 14 hours difference too, so thank you for.
Oh, no, thank you so much for being so understanding. It
Yes,
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Hopefully, we get to catch up again. This was nice. So, thank you. And let
yes,
me know whenever you're coming to Japan.
yeah. Okay, yeah, it's definitely on my list. So I'll reach out. For
Yes. Okay. Okay. Good night. Thank you. Bye.